Hey y'all, welcome to Happy Connections. This has definitely been a topic that's been sitting on my mind for not like a while, but like a past couple of weeks. But I definitely I don't know, I was going back and forth with myself about how much I want to talk about my childhood and just the body insecurity and the dysmorphia. But I was like, I couldn't find the words, is what I think it is. And I was like, is this really the right time to go share this? Is this something that really feels right? Because there are times when you want to say something and you want to speak up, and I'm always an advocate for that. But then there are also times where you got to realize that even if you want to say something, it might not be the best time to say it right at that moment, or you have something to say, but maybe your thoughts are not fully formed. But I also feel like I was putting it off for quite a while, and I was like, oh, it's Sunday night, might as well just sit here and get it over with. But yeah, I think a lot of my journey around insecurity has been about kind of like facing myself. I just want to say, and maybe like start this off by saying that this definitely might not be for everyone. And if this is your story, then I would love to just like sit here with you. And I don't know, I feel like this is like a chat. Like I'm sitting on the ground, like I have my ice cream here. It just feels like one of those things. And I'm just recognizing how much of my time has been shaped by insecurity. And today it's mainly going to be about like body insecurity and how I've dealt with that so far. But it definitely expands way further than that, like emotional insecurity within relationships, just more general broad things. Insecurity in general is something that you don't feel safe, you don't feel stable in. And I find that it was something I still face every day, and I think we all do. But this is just one part, because body insecurity was something that I think was the most visible insecurity that I had. And so, yeah, I think it started like when I was way young, maybe like not eighth grade, but I was like 8. Dairy-free sorbetto, coffee style. And I was just, it was like, I played for a soccer team growing up. All boys team. Was just like the matter of where things were and how expensive it was in New York to play soccer. And so this was a team where just a bunch of different folks. And when we were invited to the travel team, I think that's really when I became more self-conscious of my body. Not because it was like impressing people or anything. I was still very young. It was more so like people kept mentioning how like big I was or how like tough I was. And that was its own thing. I was a defender. And so I took a lot of pride in that. Like, you can't pass me type of thing. But it was also very much like on the other side of that, being like one of 3 girls who were there, and the other one being my sister, who was like stick skinny. It was kind of like, in addition to the coaches who would compliment me on that, like, oh, you're tough, like you're not gonna fall down, like no one's gonna knock you off your feet, like they were always praising me for it, versus the guys on the team who were like, you're just fat, and like, oh my god. And then like no one can move you, and like I'm defending against them, and they're like literally like bouncing off of me. And then they had so many different remarks in addition to that. And so it's like, while my temperature for those types of situations kind of like grew, I was like, yes, like the coach is like, I am a player that they need on the field. And because some of the guys, before they hit puberty and around that area, you need to just be a little bit stronger. I mean, I could still hold my own and it was fine. But as I was also growing, those same things were growing as I looked at my body, and I was like, oh my God, am I huge? Am I enormous? And I'm not here to talk about general people's bodies and whether they're healthy or not. Like, that's not what I'm here for. It's just how I was seeing myself. Because that compliment on one side felt good because I knew that I could get a job done. But on the other side, on like the internal side, on the individual level, it made me feel very isolated, because even with guys, I was bigger and bigger. And it kind of really warped my perception of my size, of my weight. And it played mind games with me for a very, very long time. I wouldn't even now. I feel like there's sometimes I look in the mirror and it's not quite. It doesn't feel quite right. But yeah, so it started off with that, like just being strong, and then it just became being big. Like this idea of you're so big, and that word means so many different things. Then there came a point when I would look in the mirror and I swear like I was ginormous. Once again, I'm not talking about anybody or whatever. I swear that I was probably like a grown man, like something. Every time I looked in the mirror, I swear it just felt like, I just felt huge. And I look back now and I was small, chunky. I wasn't even like a chubby kid. I was like, I wouldn't even say I was stocky. Like I wasn't big at all. And then there was one time where like we went back and we came for vacation. I came back and I was like a little chunky in the gut. And then everyone was like, oh my God, you got so big. Like what happened? And I was like, ah. And that also didn't help. And it didn't help that I was the biggest girl. The others were stick skinny. It wasn't like, I didn't feel bad for them. The other one was my sister, and then another was her friend. I never felt like, oh, I need to be like them. But I was serving as a comparison to like some of the others that were there. And I was like, ugh. And so I genuinely thought like something was wrong with me. Then I would go to the doctor and the BMI would say like I was like obese. And then I was like, that's it. I'm like Shakedown Thunder, like I'm not gonna make it out of here. Like I'm gonna be like forever. Like, and so then I was like, am I gonna be slow at running? Like I was like, is this why I'm slow? I had asthma. Like it's like I was not well. Not well. And I was allergic to something. Like I was allergic to dairy, and it was like actually messing up with my allergies. Anyways, I'm not going to tangent. But there were other things that were happening where I was like, why I couldn't run, and like why I had problems breathing. But then as like, what would happen at that time was that I felt so much like physically larger. I keep saying it, I'm not sure if this is coming across right, but I wouldn't let people pick me up. I wouldn't like want, like I would always be the one like, oh yeah, like in the games or like when we were competing for practice or whatever, like I would not let, I just felt like no one could handle me like physically, which is also not true, but it messed with me. It really did. And like all throughout high school, I was like, nothing is fitting right. Nothing looks good. This is like, it started in elementary school, went through middle school. Like that's the surface level. The real thing that was happening was like I hated myself. I don't want to laugh because it's not funny. But I hated myself a lot. And there were a lot of reasons for that, but at the time that just felt like the biggest one. And I feel like I hated everything about me. And I can't even imagine that now, but I think back to the way I was talking to myself, and it was horrendous. It was really bad. I wouldn't even say that on the internet, and like, because someone could make like a clip of it, and that's how bad it would sound. Like, taken out of context, it would be like, don't ever give her a job again. I would like curse at myself. I was like, you're this and you're that, and I was really mean to myself, and I was really hard on myself. Honestly, like, when you're going through puberty as a girl, like, you're probably not, like, this thing is not going to move, and then when our hormones change again when we're in our 20s, and so it never really mattered, you know. Anyways, but it was a lot. Like, I think about the journey now and just how much I had to deconstruct about how I felt about myself. Because I was really mean. I was really mean. And I would never tell anybody that. These are words that I would not, like, I would never look at my friend and be like, like, I don't even want to repeat that now. It's not even like part of my vocabulary. But it was so many things. Like, because I was deemed big, I felt big physically. I felt big with my temper. I felt big with my words. I was meant to be just tough or whatever. But I was just really mean. Just mean. And I was crueler to nobody, more crueler to anyone. Oh, is that even what? I was the meanest to myself. Or like, if I thought I was being mean to somebody, or they thought that I was being mean to them, no. And so, side note on that, like, if you have a friend or someone around you who's like really spewing some kind of nonsense, like, they probably have some really deep internal issues going on. Just side note on that. But yeah, and that, I think, was my biggest barrier to even doing a lot of introspection, because I was always like, when it came to my emotions, I always like faced that head on. When it came to my mentality, my thoughts, like, I do not run away from that. But for some reason, the body, it just takes so long for it to change, right? Like, you should probably eat right, like drink enough water, things like that. But when it comes to exercising, and I played on 3 soccer teams. Like, I played for my school, I played for the club, played for both teams on the club, and I played for New York. And I don't know, maybe I was fitter. I don't know, like, whatever. It doesn't matter what it was. The problem was that I like mentally could not imagine that I was good, and it came from a deep rooted part of me that was like, you're just never good enough. And that is something I still struggle with today. I'm gonna be transparent. Like, I very much struggle with that today. So I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I've gotten over all of it. No, the body part, a lot has changed. Because I didn't feel pretty. I didn't feel beautiful. I didn't feel like I looked good. I felt like I was deemed manly, and people just felt like that. And, you know, I don't cut corners. I'm not pulling punches much either. A very thick New York accent too. So people told me I was like, am I like a man or something? I'm not. I'm definitely not. But that was hard. That was hard for me to internalize, especially because all the messages I was getting as a kid was that men were gonna be treated better than I would be as a woman. And, you know, also seeing how unfair it was. It didn't exactly motivate me to become more feminine all of a sudden, nor did I want to. I think deep inside, I felt like if I did become like one of more feminine or that, and look like, you know, other girls, I would get hurt. like, yeah, emotionally, but like physically. Like I felt like I don't want to invite anybody to do that. And the way you look is never an invitation. But I was deeply afraid. I was deeply afraid. And so it felt better to be that bigger, tougher person. And I won. Like, I won so many things in my life through being like that. But it's a double-edged sword. As much as I would win and like slay other people and slay objectives and just get it done, it would cut into me like, you're not good enough. You're never gonna be enough. You don't look good, or you're gonna stay like this forever. And it was ruining me. Not laughing, but it was ruining me a lot. And then, you know, you get to college and there's other people, and I've never been one to be like, oh, I should look just as good as someone else. Like that was something that never really registered in my mind, to be honest. Like I should look good to catch or attract somebody. Maybe it was because for so long I felt very masculinized, that it never occurred to me to try to do anything for it. And like the little times that I did try, it never looked good, and so I never felt like doing it. I think the first time I wore a crop top was senior year of high school, and I was super nervous. One of the coaches had to talk to me and was like, hey, you look good, like don't run away and be afraid. Love you, Coach Greg. Anyways, that same level of insecurity I now had to face up front. No more soccer, no more physical activity, and a lot more skin was showing on the college campus, okay? Like a little bit much for me. But I was now seeing these people and their bodies and like what was deemed attractive. And I was bigger, still bigger. It never left me mentally. I look back now and I'm like, I actually was not like, I'm no twig, but like I was athletic, and the body was like, it was all for a reason. It's a purpose. It served a purpose. And I look back now and the disrespect I had for myself, toward myself, but particularly toward my body, it feels really unacceptable to think about right now. Because a part of my process with it was, this is what keeps me alive. Like, this is how I heal. Like, this is the skin that I wake up in the morning. This is the face that I have. And it's beautiful, and it is such a gift to say that I woke up another morning and I get to use this body to experience the world and to experience the people and to live my life. And this is how I treat the body that I was born with, the body that I chose, the body that fights for me day in and day out, that gets through illnesses, that gets through workouts, that goes to class, that takes me to work, you know, that goes on adventures. Is this how I'm gonna treat it? Like it's garbage? Say that it's garbage? Say that it's not good enough? And it's working 24/7, 7 days a week, all hours, seconds, minutes, years to make sure that I can do as much as I can, regardless of what I put inside of it, regardless of what I do with it. My cells want to get up in the morning and say, we are gonna make more, we're gonna, you know, transport oxygen and nutrients. Like, they don't stop working. But meanwhile, I'm sitting here saying, oh, this piece of junk. Like, I don't want to repeat that, because that was such a big mental shift I had to make. And I was like, this is the gift. Like, I don't go up to anybody and say, you look like you lose some weight. Like, why was I saying that to myself? Oh my God. Anyways, I feel like it's 20 minutes of this, and I feel like you got the point. How did I move from that to where I am now? I feel like I don't know how honest I should be. I had to start with that foundational point. Like, it started off with gratitude journaling. Like, I think back to those times during COVID when I was still working, and I would just open up buildings in the morning and I would just listen to affirmations on repeat. Like, because I was alone and I didn't really want to listen to music, and it just felt distracting. It just felt too quiet to do that. And so that's what I would just listen to as I would wait for the sun to rise, and instilling those gratitude principles inside of me. Even when I definitely was not grateful when I first started. I was like, I'm grateful for my bread, I'm grateful for the weather, I'm grateful for the school. And it was a very dishonest thing. However, I will say the fact that I was able to acknowledge it was a step in the right direction. And it didn't need to be perfect. It definitely didn't need to be where I'm at right now. Right now I wake up, I'm like, beautiful body, beautiful face, beautiful hair, amazing apartment, life is good, and I love myself, and I love myself, and I love myself, and I love myself. I was not saying that and meaning it like four years ago. Like, nah, not at all. But that's how it started. It started because I was listening to other people say that, using I love my body, I am healthy, and I am blessed, and I'm wealthy, and I'm full of abundance. And because I definitely wasn't. I could barely find 10 things to say I'm grateful for and meant it. And that was training me to do that. And then the next step for that was taking care of the injuries, right? After I was no longer playing soccer, my body was no longer a tool, right? It was a means to an end, which was a trophy. And so there's no more trophy. So no need to go sprinting, no need to go weight training, no need to, I had no goal, because I was never doing it for me. I was always doing it for some other external thing. I loved the sport. It was fun. It taught me, it really shaped me into who I am and helped funnel a lot of my energy, a lot of my passion and stuff. But when it was removed, I didn't know what to do with myself. And so I kind of just let myself kind of waste a bit. And I was like, I can't go to the gym. I don't know what to do. And even now, I don't really go that seriously either, but it helps. It helps me focus. It helps me, maintain. That's part of the appreciation part of it, but that was part of the journey with it. Right? And then dealing with the injuries, really waiting for my body to heal, because I would sprain my ankles 6 times a year. They were loose. It was just don't even hold weight right. Which was another part of what made it so really hard for me to look at myself. If everything felt wrong, and I felt like it looked wrong, and it hurt. So it just felt like things were just stacking on each other. And yeah, and it didn't look easy. These people I was watching as I was opening up the buildings, jogging at 5-6 o'clock in the morning, running around the lakes. I was like, who does this for fun? Because all I felt during those activities was pain. I just felt pain all the time. I was constantly in pain. That's a message right there. All types of pain. And once I started to heal, and that took a while for my ankles not to feel floppy, or my knees to not ache really badly, I wanted to try again at the gym, because I just felt like I wanted to move. I was like, I can't stand sitting here. This is not right. I was like, but I did it out of a place of hate and not a place of love. And because of that, it made the journey really hard. And I was not consistent. And it was also really cold. So I was like, wow, I gotta get up out of here. And then I go and I'm not lifting enough weight, and it hurts. And it was less of it hurts, and it's more of like, this is inconvenient and it's cold and I don't really want to, and I don't like how I look, and it's never gonna work out. And so it's just on and off. Like, consistency is not my best. You know, like when I'm in there. But like little things every day is just that's something I'm working on still. So in addition to that, yeah, it was just like on and off. And so I could never gauge. And then looking at the other girls who cared so much about their appearance, I started to form systems of comparison in my mind. And felt like I was ugly. I think I always had a really nice face. But everything else was like, ugh, to me. Yeah. And so time goes on, it progresses. I don't really start getting more consistent with going to the gym until like I go to London, and I just needed a place to focus myself in. And I switched the mental stuff from looking good to feeling good. And that's a big shift. I'm not doing this to gain a certain thing. You know, social media is always ablaze with everyone who has an opinion on fitness and what people should look like. And instead I was like, I want to be able to carry my groceries, right? One trip it. I want to be able to bend down and not like grab my back and be like, oh. And I want to be able to help people move things. And I want to be able to help my family if I ever need to do anything. I want to be able to pick up the rice. Like, there were these other things I was trying to attach to exercise. Like, if I'm going to go out dancing all night, like I want to be able to have the stamina to do that. That's important to me. That's very important to me. And so removing that mental like block was huge. It helped with the consistency. And then it really helped when I felt better. Like I could just sit in class and I could focus. I could sleep better, you know? I could feel my body like it was happy. I wasn't sluggish anymore. And I was also nice to know look like something for looking, you know? But then it comes back again to not being enough. And so those like huge mental waves come back to me like, you're just not good enough. This gym is not helping you. Like, you're never gonna look good. So why are you bothering? And then here's all this other work that you need to do. Why are you wasting your time here? And it would just like, oh my goodness. And so then it'd be like those times of like getting super stressed, stuffing my face and not moving for like a long time. And then looking in the mirror and like disliking what I was seeing. It was on and off, on and off, on and off. And then I really looked at myself one day, and this is now my gratitude practice is in there to win it. And I have my own room in the dorms and stuff now. And I spent a lot of time looking at myself because it was now, I was being judged for how I looked in the industry. And, you know, just working, like people are always judging you, like what you do and what you look like and first impressions and whatnot. And so I started to pay more attention to that. But I had gone past that mental barrier of looking like a specific thing, but I was like, is this who I want to be? Right? And I feel like I heard a talk or just like social media content kept coming up, and every so often it would just be someone saying that it comes back to that thing, your body does so much for you. Right? You can appreciate everything else. You can appreciate your friend who grabs you coffee. You can appreciate your parent that picks you up from the airport. You can appreciate the teacher or the mentor that gives you advice, and you can't appreciate the very thing that allows you to navigate this world. So that's what I do. I would stand in front of the mirror, and it was like one of those exercises, like you can't say anything about your face. So the first thing I would be like, I have really nice eyes and a nice smile, which I get complimented on, which is nice. But I would have to look at myself like for real, and it's like, oh, okay. Ooh, like I have nice legs because of soccer or just working out. You know, the arms are okay. They're not too big, not too small. But then it was like coming to here and like your stomach and like my hips and, you know, like the rear. And it just, I was like doing it, but I wasn't like really doing it. And nothing compares to what it was like being a child. Like that was probably the lowest point for my body. I had serious body dysmorphia, but now it was just kind of like, ugh. It wasn't like a ew. It was like a like not the best. And so after that, I just kept looking at myself more and more, and I would say, thank you. I would go in the shower and be like, thank you, legs, for holding me up while I wash my hair. Thank you, hands, for helping me comb my hair. Thank you, arms, for being strong enough to deal with this 45-minute wash day. Thank you, tummy, for being my whole support system. Thank you, hips, for bearing the load of my heavy backpack. You know, thank you, feet, for keeping me planted on the floor. Thank you, neck. Thank you, back. And just like over time, those things kind of came. And so there's that. And it's like, you know, giving a kiss on your shoulder. I do that now. I'm like, I'm not afraid. Like, thank you. I appreciate you. The same way, like, I feel like I talk to my body like I would maybe talk to a lover. Like, thank you. You always show up for me. I appreciate you so much. I love you. Yeah. I love you. And it was those things, because I'm still not consistent with the gym. I don't have the biggest, nicest of anything. Maybe. I think I look pretty good. But that's what it was. I think about it. I don't really care what anyone says. Whether they like it or not, it's not my business. It has nothing to do with it. I also imagine my child self, like every time I would look in the mirror, and I'm like, I don't ever want you to disrespect you like that ever again, right? You work so hard for that body, and I say thank you and 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 thank you again and again and again. Because that body got me through one of the toughest times in my life. And it still is navigating me through this world, even now. And that's a blessing, right? No one is guaranteed anything. Your body doesn't have to stay whole at all. And so even though I am definitely not the most fit person, not running any marathons, not going to the gym, I'm not hitting any protein goals, there's no workout count, I can genuinely say thank you, like, and I love you and you look good. That's not to say that every day is not, like, some days are not a bad day. Like, you like look down and you're like bloated and you're like, oh, like, maybe not my top day, but still very much like, you know, I'm still pretty. I still look good. I still love me. I still got me. And that's what it was. It was never about looking a certain way, right? I'm a strong believer. I don't know what you think about yourself, but I'm a strong believer that I'm gonna get better with time. I just know, like, my peak is ahead of me, not behind me. Oh God. But yeah, and as much as possible, when I look at myself in the mirror and when I tell myself these things, I want to smile. And I want to mean it. Like, I'm not like, yeah, I kind of, stomach, you're okay. No, thank you. Thank you for helping me digest food. Thank you organs, for staying in your place. You know, you look great. Like, you're doing fine. I appreciate all the hard work that goes on. Things that I don't have to think about doing. They're just like, it's like your body's like your admin. Right? You get to get out there, consciously do whatever, but they're handling all the background stuff. Have a little bit of appreciation for that. Because if it wasn't working, you know, and then you can't get anything done. And you're like, oh man, I wish. And I never want ever to be in that position where I'm like, I could have done better. No, right? Where it's like, oh, if only I did this way, this or that. That's not how I want to live. So good. Anyways, I feel like I've been talking for a while. Yeah, I have. So, I feel like there was no real lesson to this. But let me know if you relate. Let me know if you relate, because I think it's something that's kind of like talked about a lot, but I feel like people kind of dance around the deep effects of it. But yeah, I'm still not perfect. And there's a host more of other insecurities that I deal with. But for this, the thing that gets me up, the thing that leads me through the day, it started here. And it started here before it went. Just like everything else in life, you have to see it, say it, kind of before you really see it. And that just is what it is, right? Like I part of it is I don't engage in those self-deprecating body remarks. Other parts, like I'm trying to do better. But I don't look at myself and I'm like, ugh. Like, no, don't. I don't even joke about anything. Like, I don't even joke. I feel like my words, like it comes directly to me. How am I going to say that about myself? I don't even offer that. Like, I don't let people joke about my body to me. I don't say anything mean to myself about that. I don't put myself out there in those spaces, because I'm already there, and everything else should be maintenance and love. And when you do things from a place of hatred, it's never work out. You'll never be satisfied. Right? If you sit there, I hate myself so much, I'm going to change. How long does that last? Not that long in my experience. Right? And there's always some other auxiliary issues that come up with it. But yeah. I don't know what the point of this was, but body insecurity is a real thing. It does, or it can get better. I'm not going to say it does, because I don't know anyone's situation. But it's not really about the body. Your mind can very well be your worst enemy. And it truly is about perspective. So yeah. Thanks for joining me. I want to say I love you if you reach the end and you listen to this entire thing. And I love you even more if you relate, and I hope you give yourself a big hug. Yeah, I'm proud of myself. I came out here, did the darn thing. All right.